It's this combination of this flying platform with these incredible sensors. That's basically what a drone is. The policy of the United States about drones, these small flying vehicles, is set by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. Congress ordered the FAA to come up with a system of regulation for drones by the end of 2015. So what they've done is they've approved some pilot projects, 3 so far, with movie makers, agricultural interests, and journalists.
The debate over civilian drone use in the United States has been a heated one in Washington for the past few years, and lawmakers as well as citizens want to see the issue resolved soon. Carl Stewart is just one of the many who have started to get impatient with the long, drawn-out process.
I'm a high school film student and I can't fly my drone in DC, which means I'd have to either risk getting caught or I would have to go out far into Maryland or Virginia just to fly my drone. The restrictions on commercial use of drones, it doesn't really make sense to me. The FAA has reasoning behind the restrictions, but it would be so easy to just have commercial users register to use their drones, and then it would be no problem.
The FAA has been the main organization slowing the process, barring non-licensed groups and individuals from flying drones across much of the country while it draws up new regulations.
So it also concerns me when I read in the Wall Street Journal about major U.S. companies taking their UAS research and development activities to foreign countries such as Canada and Australia because FAA regulations are too burdensome and too slow.
The lack of movement in U.S. drone policy hasn't just hurt the drone industry and artists, though. It has also had a negative impact on education as well.
When this first started out, people thought, oh, well, it was going to be mostly military and police and things like that. And it actually hasn't turned out to be the case. It's been universities.
Kadesha Bonds, a media teacher at Woodrow Wilson High School, says that she wants to be able to use drones to help teach her students.
Well, I think that for school purposes, I guess depending on the location of where you're at, I think that they should be allowed because how are students really going to maybe learn or be creative? I understand why the policies are in place. They're in place to protect us as United States citizens first because our national security, is on the line. I think that if they made a modification to it to allow for educational purposes, and if we had to maybe register, maybe have someone from like the aviation department come and train us so they know and see like, okay, hey, these are young people that are really engaged in their classes. They are using it for learning purposes. I would definitely implement it on like a creative project of, okay, what you'd have to do is fly into a scene and then cut to the dialogue.
I know that they can't fly in the downtown corridor or in the Potomac River corridor because obviously there's planes there. So I think these are people who are going out to the local soccer field and just putting something up in the air and not too high, not out of line of sight.
With all these people pushing for change, what is taking the FAA so long?
So one thing that they've done is, like I said, they've given these permissions to these sort of industry groups, the journalists, the filmmakers, to experiment with drones. So that's one area of experimentation. The other thing that they've done is they've established 6 flight centers around the country where these are typically airfields. A lot of them are located near where the drone manufacturers are. Some of them are near military airspace where there's a lot of clear airspace and you have less safety concerns.
It's clear that the FAA has to find solutions for the challenges that drones present. In order for that to happen, concerned citizens and lawmakers both have to work together to push for the agency to make drones a higher priority.
Where the FAA is at now is they're not dealing with individuals yet. They're dealing with groups. And I think people who are interested in exploiting drones and exploring drones need to join up with like-minded people because that's how you're going to get recognized by the government in this kind of experimental phase that we're in now. The government is looking for responsible operators and looking to identify best practices.
I would try to implement some sort of system that would allow any drone to be hooked up to that would be required. Kind of like our current national airspace system, all planes have to be tracked somehow. Something like that for drones.
In this year of experimentation, I think it's getting affiliated with a group that is interested in exploiting drone technology. So that could be a group of users, that could be a company, you know. But that's who the government's going to pay attention to this year.